Taylor Swift has a new album coming. Britney Spears is telling her truth on the heels of her new song with Elton John. Plus, we've got the latest on Shia Labeouf.
It's all coming up right now on The Take.
Hey everyone, and welcome to The Take. I'm Elizabeth Wagmeister, and as you see, Clayton Davis is not with us. Clayton is at the Telluride Film Festival working away, but we are so lucky to have our friend, senior entertainment writer, Angelique Jackson.
Thank you so much for having me. I am very excited to give my take on this week's stories.
Thank you for joining us. We always love when you come hang out with us at The Take, and we have a lot to talk about. And our first story is one that you broke some news on. So let's jump right into Shia Labeouf. If it seems like you've been reading a lot about Shia Labeouf over the past week, well, there is a reason for that. He's been in the headlines a ton. It all started with when Olivia Wilde told us the reason for why Shia Labeouf was fired, and Shia Labeouf said, "No, I actually quit your film." Then Shia did 2 separate podcasts, and now Angelique was one of our writers who reported on him being cast in Francis Ford Coppola's upcoming $100 million film. And that's not all. He also will be at the Venice Film Festival coming up because he has another film, Padre Pio, that is debuting there. Angelique, what are you hearing about his casting in the Francis Ford Coppola film?
The fact that Shia Labeouf was cast in a multi-million-dollar film by the director of The Godfather, no less, has caused a lot of social media controversy and a lot of questions about, did his kind of redemption tour lead to this casting moment? The important thing to know here is that the order of events is not exactly what it seems. It looks like Shia entered into a controversy with his former director and then went on an apology tour and then was rewarded by being cast in this multi-million-dollar film. But that's not exactly what happened here. We first got wind that Shia Labeouf was circling a role in Megalopolis about 3 weeks ago when the pop culture site Giant Freaking Robot reported that he might be in this film. So this is really not so much a redemption story in the sense of, you create a lot of controversy and headlines and people forgive you and you get in this movie. This was actually a situation where he was already going to be in this movie regardless of anything that went on surrounding Don't Worry, Darling. But you, Elizabeth, were the one who sat down with Olivia Wilde. So tell me a little bit more about what happened there.
Yes, so about 2 years ago when it was reported that Shia Labeouf was departing Don't Worry, Darling and Harry Styles would be replacing him, we at Variety, through our reporting, heard from numerous production sources that Shia was fired. Now, fast forward 2 years, I sit down with Olivia for our recent cover, and I asked her about this, and she said that as a director, she felt that she needed to protect her cast, particularly Florence Pugh, who she felt was going to be put in some vulnerable situations. Well, after our story publishes, then Shia Labeouf actually emails us at Variety. He sends us text messages and an email that he sent to Olivia where he says, "I wasn't fired, I quit your film." Then a video leaks of Olivia Wilde seeming to ask Shia to stay in the film and make it all work. But now we do have another source who says it was really more of a mutual parting of ways because things weren't working out. So that's what happened with Don't Worry, Darling. I'm sure more to come with that, but that's not all that happened in the world of Shia. As we mentioned, he also did a podcast where he spoke about the allegations from his former girlfriend, the actor and musician FKA Twigs. Remember, she sued him for sexual battery. There's a trial next year that's coming for that, and during the podcast, this is what Shia said. Quote, "I hurt that woman, and in the process of doing that, I hurt many other people and many other people before that woman. I was a pleasure-seeking, selfish, self-centered, dishonest, inconsiderate, fearful human being." So I'm curious to hear your take on this, Angelique, because I will say I've reported on a lot of these types of stories. And often we don't get an apology. We don't get taking accountability. We get a lot of gaslighting. And I will say, I do like what Shia said. It seems like he's done some reflective work and he recognizes that he was wrong. I'm glad that he is working on himself. Everybody deserves to make themselves a better person. That said, it doesn't take away from what he is alleged to have done, which is nearly choke FKA Twigs to death. That's what she said in her lawsuit. So I am wondering how people will take this. Are they willing to welcome Shia back into Hollywood? What do you think?
I think we can say for a fact that people are willing to welcome him back into Hollywood because he has booked roles since then. But the question is the audience willing to welcome him back? And I think that really just still remains to be seen. As you said, it is important to see someone take accountability and actually speak those words and admit what they did. But will the audiences trying to buy tickets for these movies care? Also, there's a question of how aware are they of this situation, or how aware were they before all of these headlines kicked off this week? But they certainly are now.
Yes, glad he made an apology, but it does not in any way take away or negate what he is alleged to have done. And as you said, much more to come, and he will be at the Venice Film Festival, so we'll see how that is received too. But let's move on to some lighter news, shall we? Taylor Swift stole the show at the VMAs. She was the big winner of the night, but then she one-upped her award by surprising everybody with the announcement that she has a brand new album coming. It is going to be called Midnight. I know that I am excited. I know the Swifties are very excited. Angelique, are you a Swiftie?
I am a Swiftie. I am a hardcore Swiftie, and every part of this announcement was pure Taylor magic. The way that she plays off of all of the kind of seemingly hidden messages is always some of the most fun parts of being a fan of hers. Obviously, we all know about the number 13, but it was also the anniversary of the kind of dust up between Taylor and Kanye at the VMAs. So for her to kind of settle that by bringing on this whole new exciting announcement that I think was a huge surprise to everyone, because I think everyone was kind of waiting for another re-release instead of a brand new album. You could barely hear her words through the cheers of excitement from the crowd. People were genuinely shocked.
Yes. Taylor Swift, nobody makes an announcement better than her, except actually maybe Britney Spears. So Britney Spears was not at the VMAs, but she managed to dominate the show during the VMAs when she released a 22-minute audio recording where she spoke about her conservatorship. Now, this was posted onto YouTube and it was quickly taken down, but of course, the Britney army latched onto it and everybody has heard it by now. Now, in this message, Britney Spears, she's very raw. She repeats a lot of the allegations that she had actually testified about when she spoke last summer in front of a judge. She makes claims about her father, about her mother. Actually, after this, her mother, Lynn Spears, she took to Instagram and she said that she loves her. She's been trying to get in touch with her. But I think that that is falling on deaf ears, certainly for Britney's fans who are really listening to what she has to say. She's expressing her pain. She's saying she doesn't understand why this happened. None of it made sense. How did her family get away with this? So I think what we're seeing here is Britney really continuing to heal in a public forum. And after being silenced for 13 years in this conservatorship, she's finally able to use her mega platform to share what she went through.
Yeah, what's so interesting about that is obviously this was the interview that everybody wanted. She even mentions in the audio recording that, Oprah was among the people who reached out, hoping to book her for this interview.
I'll admit it, I was one of the people who reached out. I would love to interview Britney and hear her story, but I'm glad that she did it on her own terms.
Absolutely.
I really am.
It's good to hear it from her in her own way. And that's not to say that she won't eventually do a sit down, hopefully with you.
Well, here's the thing. Thank you for that. But really, Britney, she should be able to tell her story in her own words. I'm glad she did. We also know she has a book coming. But you know what else? She just dropped a new song with Elton John. Hold Me Closer. It is topping the charts around the world. It's so good to see Britney back to herself. She seems to be having so much fun with this song. Clearly, everybody on the planet is loving it. It's doing so well. Elton John has had wonderful things to say about it. Angelique, do you have it on repeat?
It is definitely up there because I am a huge Elton John fan, and in particular of the song Tiny Dancer, which Hold Me Closer is essentially rebooting in a way. And it's really nice to see how Elton John has continuously, over the course of his career, really opened his arms to other artists, both personally and professionally. People like Dua Lipa, who he most recently collaborated with, and then people like Demi Lovato, who he has been a real support system with through her sobriety. And this is a case of the two kind of meetings when it comes to Britney Spears, that he is both, celebrating her as a true pop icon. There's a reason we call her like the princess of pop.
Yes.
And also, being there for her in this time where she's in the process of reinventing herself and wanting to be Britney again and really own that. And it's beautiful to see this new friendship that they've made. Maybe they'll do a whole album. Why not a tour?
Yes. I mean, I love it. You're right. He's really taking her under his wing, and it really is beautiful to see. He says it's all about Britney. The song's not about me. I know a lot of people agree with that. But Angelique, thank you so much for joining us here on The Take. Will you come back again?
Anytime. Well, I mean, unless I'm kind of busy listening to Britney and Elton, then I can't come.
Maybe when Taylor's album drops, you'll have to come back. We'll tell Clayton he can take the day off.
Swifties reunite. I like this.
Thanks so much, Angelique, and thanks to all of you for joining us right here on The Take.